This 4-door to 2-door conversion on this Nova is going pretty good. Now I've got to get the old quarter panels off, the new quarter panels fitted, and make sure everything lines up. I've already got most of the quarter panel out of the way, so now it's time to drill all the little spot welds out of the door jamb, melt the lead at the roof seam and all around the wheelhouse and the trunk drop off so I can get the rest of the quarter panel out of the way and get the new one fitted on. All right, so I think I've got all my spot welds out. I've got all these down through here, all these here, these up here, and I can tell that this panel wants to start moving away. You can see they're separating. On some of these spot welds, it's hard to tell if you actually penetrated to the second layer because you don't want to drill a hole in what you're leaving. So like, see if it'll focus. On some of these, you can see where there's a gap between them where the other panel has moved. And on some of them, it's hard to tell if you've cut through or not. And I know the lighting's poor here, but anyway, I think all that's loose. I got all these drilled out, and there's also drilled a couple out here, and there's a lead joint right here I forgot to tell you about. But pretty much all of this is loose. I've just got to cut that in loose, and I think all of this should come loose. All right. Well, there we go. All right, so if you're changing quarter panels, you want to save this piece. And the reason you do is because this will help you figure out where all the spot welds went from the factory when you go to put your other one back together, where to drill your holes, and where to put everything and have an idea of how many and where the spot welds need to go. Okay, so I got most of the quarter panel off of the trunk drop off and off the outer wheelhouse. Now, the wheelhouse is in really good shape. Rarely have I seen one where the wheel lip right here is as solid. Now there's a little bit there, but not bad. But there's a pretty good bit down here and over there on that end on the inside where it's bad, and I'm not sure what's left under this one spot right here. But the trunk drop off is actually fine. It's got some surface rust. It's got a little bit right here where all this was beat in, but everything else on it, maybe just a little bit right here in this very corner, everything else on it is fine. The problem is when the factory spot welded this one, they put a heap, I don't know if you can see it, but there's probably 40 or 50 spot welds. I mean, there's like 20 of them in a row right there. So I'm not going to deal with all of that, and I'm still not sure what I'm going to do up here. So I've got a new one I've had laying around. So instead of drilling all that out, I'm just going to cut across here, and I'll section in this one either all up here and down or just across here. I'll probably just do it all across here. So I just have spot welds to do instead of, and then have one seam right here, somewhere over here that I can get to without having to get all in back here between the inner wheelhouse and the trunk floor. Okay, so I was able to air chisel most of the quarter panel off of the bottom of the trunk drop off, but everywhere all the extra spot welds were, it ripped apart. So again, I'm still going to patch one in. The outer wheelhouse is in pretty bad shape. I did the same thing with it and used the air hammer to get the stuff loose because I wanted it in place while I test fit the quarter and then make sure I'm going to get the wheelhouse, the patch in the right spot. But you can see this side of it was pretty gone. Usually it's all of this area, and back here is pretty typical here on Georgia cars. But this one was actually okay up through here. It was just a little bit here and a lot over there, but we're going to patch a new one in. First though, I'm going to get the lead joint melted out and a little bit left off this sail panel. All right. And of course, if you've got paint on it, it's good to always get the paint off first. Mine is just rust and lead. You see the lead starting to move a little bit, and it'll start moving all at once it gets hot. It'll kind of move on its own. You don't want it bouncing on you because it will be pretty hot. There we go. I finally got all of the old quarter panel off, so now we can test fit the new quarter panel. Now I did run into some issues. The drip rail is rusty, the wheelhouse is rusty, which I knew the wheelhouse was, but I had a little bit of trouble getting the drip rail, the quarter panel out of the drip rail. So the drip rail is rusty, it was loose, I was trying not to tear it off the car. I'm gonna have to fix that somewhat, but not sure how much I'm gonna do. But let's look at this and then we'll test fit the quarter panel. I got all the quarter panel off, and what I ended up doing is I melted my lead out and then I cut around everything that I melted out. So that was kind of a waste of time. This right here is actually part of the quarter panel. It comes up, the roof skin overlaps it, and then it has another thing that goes down and ties into the roof structure here. So I cut this off. The quarter panels that I'm using on this car, I actually had on a 69, so the taillight hole will be the wrong size, but I'll make it bigger. But anyway, I had cut this section off of the other car that I was using, the other panel I was using on the other car. So I left this here. We're going to test fit it, see how it goes, and then I'll figure out what to do there. I am changing the roof skin. The drip rail right here is rusted pretty bad. You know, drip rail is a separate piece. A lot of people think it's part of the roof skin, but it's actually a separate piece. And I'm going to have to fix something there. Now, this piece here, a lot of people that cut these quarter panels off, they actually cut this piece off with the quarter panel, and you need to leave it there because the quarter panel stops right about here, and if you're doing it right, your inner window channel or window felt or rubber, whatever you want to call it, actually screws to this piece. You can screw it to the quarter panel if you need to, if it's over far enough. But anyway, I've got everything on the jam loose. I've got everything around the sail panel loose. The lead joint's loose. All this is gone. The deck filler panel spot is gone. All the way across where the bottom of the drop-off panel is and the wheelhouse. So we're going to get the new panel test fit. Okay, so this is a brand new panel that has been sitting outside on another car but not installed. So we're going to try to get this thing to sit in here like it's supposed to. And the trick is to get it over this stupid little piece right there. And get it to slide back. Quarter panel goes under that. And over all this. So I've got the panel fitted on, and it's screwed on in a few places, clamped a little bit, and it fits pretty good. Now, there's a few issues. My drip rail being so rusty, it's loose, so it should be uptight, but it's actually bent down, so It's not the panel, it's the drip rail. I got it over, getting it over this section and behind this section while the door jamb is in the right spot, that's very difficult to do. But we made it happen. It's down there at the bottom. I do have it screwed into some of the wheelhouse right here, what's left of the wheelhouse, to keep that side up. And then I've got this side screwed into the trunk drop-off. I've got a screw right here and right here. Now, it did fit really good at the taillight panel. I'm pretty happy with that. That's pretty good. I can do some more adjustment, but everything's fitting as far as where everything's at is where it's supposed to be. So I'm pretty happy with that. So a couple areas that don't fit that well. And I noticed this on the other car I had these panels on. This area right here on this, where the weather strip goes on the package tray, this is not a really good transition right there. Also, you can see right here, this right here, I don't know if you can tell or not on this video, but this is one width apart until it gets right here, and then it kind of fans out like this. And this shouldn't be going over this way. This is about where it's supposed to be, but this side really should come across there and go into that line, and it doesn't. And if you look on this other car over here, nowhere in here does it get wider and fan out like that. So that's just part of the quarter panels being a little bit wrong. Now, yeah, I know reproduction stuff is not always right, but this is pretty close everywhere else. So I haven't closed the door yet to see if the door is going to fit the door jamb. What I'm going to do is pretty happy with everything else. All the way around the wheelhouse fits pretty good. It fits good around here. Seems like the door jamb is in the right spot. This probably does need to come this way some more, but not much. And again, I have to do something with this to repair that. Everything else is pretty good where it fits. Pretty happy with it. I'm going to clean this panel off, get all the pollen and stuff from outside off of it, close the door, and look at my gap. Okay, so I've got it cleaned up. I've got my deck lid on. I've got my door shut. Well, okay, my door's not shut, but if the door was shut, it looks pretty dang good. Now at the bottom it does stick out some, but the door is bent at the bottom. But I'm really happy with those lines. I think the quarter panel, there's still a little bit of movement in this door. The quarter panel can probably come down just a little bit. And it's not, it might not be all the way down right there. I'm gonna do some more adjusting there, see if I can get the quarter panel to go down just a hair, because I mean it doesn't really need much. And this door is fairly wore out, so there's still a little bit of movement in the door. But yeah, so it's not off. It's not off by much. So I'm gonna get the quarter panel down as far as I can, and then we can hopefully get the door. Like I said, I'm gonna blame some of that on the door, but for now we're good. Pretty good around the drip rail. Like I said, I got to do something with the drip rail being rusted out. At the bottom, we're pretty good at the bottom where the quarter goes into the rocker panel. My gap there is good. And I could adjust that some and then adjust the lip that goes into the drip rail and that little piece that goes over the quarter window part. And that whole quarter panel would come down just a hair. I'm not sure how much it would come down if I didn't adjust that and that, but it might. Now my deck lid's looking pretty good. Can't tell how much of the, it's got a pretty good gap right here. It's a little bit different, little pinched in right here, but you know, pretty happy with it. The other side, I mean, you know, the panel's clamped on. It's a two-door panel and a four-door panel, but anyway, I've got room over here for some adjustment. And when I put the new panel on this side, I can do that. Now, down here at this side, I'm where I need to be around my tail light opening. I'm where I need to be on my tail light opening on this side. So that's looking pretty good. Now where it's still off is right in the middle of the trunk lid. So you can see this is kind of bowed up right here. And I think most of that is this rusty trunk lid. I mean, it's extremely rusty, and so is the undercarriage or the inner panel. I think this right here being too tight, I can adjust that a couple of different ways. If you'll notice, this right here is sitting up. I think I can probably get the middle of this to pull down some more, go back and adjust this panel some, get this to pull down some more because it's kind of bent up right here holding it up. Maybe that'll drop this section down a little bit. And then also on my latch on the inside, I could probably get this to push down some on the latch because that's just kind of screwed in. So I think I can get some more clearance there because I could just adjust the latch and get more, but then this side and that side would both be, you know, more than it is now, so it would still be uneven. And I'm not trying to get this thing super, super, super nice. I'm not even trying to get it nice. I'm just trying to get it cool looking, and we're on the way there. All right, so now that we know everything is going to line up with the dent that I pulled out of the back panel, the quarter panel is going to fit, everything lines up, it's going to work. So this is going to be a two-door Nova. Now I still have a lot to do. So I've got to change my wheelhouse or patch in piece of a wheelhouse. I've got to patch in a piece of the trunk drop off. I've got to fix this little ledge right here on the back of the trunk where the taillight panel sits on top of it. I've got to find a deck lid. This one's not usable. I've got to remove the deck filler panel, clean all that up on the package tray, put the new one of those in. I've got to fix the inner sail panels on both sides because there's nothing here. And then I got to change the roof skin. So, and I still haven't got the passenger or the driver's side quarter off yet. So everything I'm going to have to do on that side, I'm also going to have to do over here. All right, so we're now finally at the part. That was great. All right, so we're finally at a stage where this project will start moving a lot faster. I hope that's the plan. We'll get this back off, get my wheelhouse fixed, my trunk drop off fixed, start cleaning up a bunch of this rust. I've still got to weld in some of my inner structure, like the part that welds to the top of the wheelhouse, all that stuff, because the old quarter panel is in the way and I haven't welded it yet. So going to clean all that up, finish welding everything, get the roof skin taken off, get my inner structure of the roof cleaned up and rust proofed, all that good stuff. So hopefully going to move a lot faster with it. We'll see you guys next video.